evening, you're with ET now. This is the India development debate. Better late than never. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has finally broken his silence over the twin rapes involving two minor girls from J&K and UP that have triggered nationwide outrage. Speaking at the inauguration of the new Ambedkar Memorial in New Delhi, the Prime Minister said incidents over the past 2 days have come as a huge embarrassment to civilized society, asserting that the guilty will not be spared. He said the two daughters of India will surely get justice. The Prime Minister's strong message comes hours after the CBI arrested the rapist MLA of the Yogi Adityanath government. Also, the two BJP ministers who supported the accused in the rape and murder of the 8-year-old girl in J&K have stepped on amid mounting pressure.
Now, earlier in the day, Women and Child Development Minister Maneka Gandhi condemned the barbaric acts and said she will seek changes in the POCSO Act to ensure death penalty for child rapists. INB Minister Smriti Irani echoed the sentiment, but of course she said don't politicize the issue. The fact remains that all these condemnations come too late. In fact, at least 2 days after the country's people and the judiciary mounted pressure on the government to act. The Prime Minister's strong message apart, these two horrific crimes have come as a pointer to the impunity and shamelessness that we've actually acquired while pushing sectarian agendas. The Prime Minister finally breaking the silence over Unnao and Kathua incidents is a big topic of discussion, debate right here on the India Development Debate tonight. Let's go across and listen in to Prime Minister Modi.
सामाजिक न्याय इस सरकार के लिए सिर्फ कहने सुनने की बात नहीं, बल्कि हमारा कमिटमेंट है, ये हमारी श्रद्धा है। लेकिन जिस तरह की घटनाएं हमने बीते दिनों में देखी है, वो सामाजिक न्याय की अवधारणा को चुनौती देती है। पिछले 2 दिन से जो घटनाएं चर्चा में हैं, वो निश्चित रूप से किसी भी सभ्य समाज के लिए शोभा नहीं देती है, ये शर्मनाक है। हमारे स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों ने, जिन्होंने अपनी जिंदगी इस देश के भविष्य के लिए बलिदान कर दी, ये उनके बलिदान का अपमान है। एक समाज के रूप में, एक देश के रूप में हम सब इसके लिए शर्मसार है। देश के किसी भी राज्य में, किसी भी क्षेत्र में होने वाली ऐसी वारदातें हमारी मानवीय संवेदनाओं को झकझोर देती है। मैं देश को विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि कोई अपराधी बचेगा नहीं, न्याय होगा और पूरा होगा। उन बेटियों के साथ जो जुल्म हुआ है, उन बेटियों को न्याय मिल के रहेगा।
All right, let's take this across to a stellar panel that's joining us right here on the India Development Debate tonight. Sanjay Jha, spokesperson of the Congress; Syed Zafar Islam, spokesperson of the BJP; Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. I've got R. Jagannathan, editorial director for Swaraj magazine, and of course Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist and commentator who also joins us. Thanks each one of you for being with us. And Jaggi, thank you very much for coming back. The story changed when we did the first edition of the India Development Debate, and the story has changed because the Prime Minister has broken his very, very conspicuous studious silence. But does this intervention send a signal that the government means business, or has it come a little too late?
I do believe that it came a little too late. It could have come yesterday. But let's not be mealy-mouthed when it comes to acknowledging that the statement he has made today is a pretty strong one. It's not some passing reference that he did. He made several strong statements that this is a thing for which the nation needs to be ashamed. We will guarantee justice. We will make sure that those two girls who, one child and the other one underage girl who actually were molested and killed and obviously sexually damaged, were actually going to, he's promised something there. I think we need to accept that this is the right kind of statement. Now the message must go, and we also hear that the two Jammu and Kashmir ministers have put in their papers. That again is a first sign of action. That's a good thing, and I think we should not try and take away from the statement by just saying that it's too late. Yes, it was late, but it's come late and it's come correctly, so it's okay.
It's come late, it's come correctly, it's okay. Madhavan Narayanan, do you agree with Jaggi there that don't take away the essence of the message by criticizing the timing of the message? Madhavan Narayanan.
I think the spokespersons of the BJP must be heaving a very loud sigh of relief right now. That basically means that they have more ammunition to defend their Prime Minister. But I have also noticed that we also have the chief of BJP in Madhya Pradesh, Nand Kishore Singh, saying that this whole Kathua thing was engineered by Pakistan. So we are looking at a very difficult scenario where the narratives of the party cadres seem to be at loggerheads with the promises and the words and even the action of the Prime Minister. And it would seem to the impartial observer, not the apologists, that even the ministers in Jammu and Kashmir have resigned a tad too late, and there are still messy issues to be sorted out. Let me add that the Congress also has its own minor mess to resolve in this issue, because its own party local leaders are also in a dubious sort of a position. But having said that, this is not a bad moment after what looked like 3 days of utter embarrassment for the ruling party.
Okay, utter embarrassment for the ruling party, and it's only fair I go across to Syed Zafar Islam, who's joining us live right here on the show tonight. And, Zafar, I really want to ask you, what took the Prime Minister so long to step in? He's usually the first to seize a political opportunity. He's usually the first to sense, some amount of discontent. And here he took a fairly long time to react. Even after the horrific Dadri incident, he had taken many, many days to respond. Why could this not have been done earlier is question number one. And question number two that many people are asking this is the two ministers have quit the cabinet in Jammu and Kashmir. But our own information is it has happened after the pressure that came in from Mehbooba Mufti. Because what else explains that the two ministers who were standing by the accused have quit the cabinet, but the MLA who's been accused of perpetrating the crime, who's been accused of rape, continues to be a part of the BJP?
Supriya, this is a crime. It's a crime, and in each crime should be treated like a crime. It's a heinous crime. And it's nothing to do with party or nothing to do with any individual. It is a crime, and the society should acknowledge that this crime needs to be collectively dealt with. Unfortunately, what is happening today, all the political parties are trying this only agenda. If crime has happened somewhere, they want to politicize it. They immediately link it with political parties, immediately link with religion, immediately link with something like, for instance, there was no need for Rahul Gandhi to be very selective about this. The rape has happened in many other places. He could have been speaking about the rape as a crime, and it's a heinous crime, and the society should collectively fight this crime. It's a menace of the society, and that we should collectively fight. But he was very selective, and something
Syed
which
Zafar
actually
Islam.
and he was also trying to give a different color, because only because here the victim was a Muslim. All I can say that let me just complete. All I can
Syed
say
Zafar
that
Islam.
a crime should be dealt. The crime should be dealt like a crime, and that's why the Honorable Prime Minister said that anybody and whoever has done this crime, committed this crime, will be dealt sternly, and they will be punished, and those people cannot go unpunished. And that is the statement that this means. Okay. That those who were speculating, demanding that the Prime Minister speak, Prime Minister cannot speak at every instance. Prime Minister should
I think
speak
the horrific
when it is
details of
appropriate to speak,
Katwa,
and
I think
when it
Syed
was
Zafar
most
Islam,
appropriate to
it's
speak.
very wrong for us. Syed Zafar Islam, I'm going to come in for a moment, because I'll tell you why this is not just another rape. I know incidents of rape have happened across the country. They should not happen. I sit on national television saying no rape should happen in this country ever with any girl, any woman, nobody. But I think Katwa is different, because the premeditated crime and the way it was done and the horrific details that have come to light. I mean, how can you compare this incident to any other rape case? But anyways, I think Sandeep wants to take over next.
Yeah, Sanjay Jha, there's a direct
Supriya,
charge there.
I completely agree with you.
No.
Complete your point.
No, let me just complete. I think it's important whatever she has mentioned. It's important for all of us to realize that those details are definitely troubles us. It troubles everybody, every single individual, and nobody. We all live in a society, and nobody should actually I mean, all of us have family, and nobody wants that their family should go through this, and it is something which needs to be condemned. Condemned in the worst possible word should be used for condemning this kind of a heinous crime. Having said that, what is important for all of us, that we should be a responsible citizen. Even if we are representing a political party, we should come across as a responsible person, and even in the political party we represent. And unfortunately, this is not happening. They are trying to use it as a political tool. And that is something which I definitely condemn, that some of the political party use this as an opportunity for the
Sanjay
lust
Jha,
of power.
okay, I
They
take
are
your
using
point.
this,
I take your point, Syed Zafar
this
Islam.
heinous
Sanjay
crime
Jha,
as
he's
something
accusing
they
you
can-
of selective outrage. He's saying that you've used this as a political tool. And so I want you to react to the point made there by Syed Zafar Islam. And I'm adding in a question here that not only has the Prime Minister strongly condemned, but the two rogue BJP ministers in Jammu who protested have also resigned. So he's backing his words with action. What action has Rahul Gandhi taken against Congress workers who protested in Jammu over police action against the accused? Two questions for you, Sanjay Jha.
Sandeep, first a kind request that when I speak, just make sure that the BJP spokesperson does not interrupt me. That's a kind and a humble request. Let me answer your question very briefly. I think it is absolutely shameful if the Bharatiya Janata Party today, when the entire country is outraged, when internationally people are looking at India as perhaps the rape country of the world. I mean, here is a BJP spokesperson coming and making, some kind of a political statement that it should not be politicized. I mean, who will fight for those innocent people in this country who are getting brutalized and members of the leading political party are engaged and involved? I mean, what a ridiculous and pathetic interpretation of Mr. Rahul Gandhi's protest yesterday. I mean, there are articles all over social media, on print, you name it. And is the BJP going to say that Barkha Dutt's article in Washington Post is politicization? What are we talking about here? I mean, let's get serious. There is a BJP leader, Sandeep and Supriya, who's made a statement yesterday saying that how can 8 men rape an 8-year-old girl? There is still defense coming for this ghastly, heinous act from the BJP leaders? I mean, what are we talking about? And I also want to add this point. You know something, you read the chart sheet, you'll feel sick at the bottom of your stomach. Add to that what's happened in Unnao. And let me tell you, how is Indian democracy today become so appalling that when the Prime Minister says, I will take action against the culprits after 3 days, we are supposed to celebrate that? I mean, is Narendra Modi now making Indian democracy into such a farce that his statement, which we all know is hollow as anything can be, is supposed to assuage all those people who have lost their families? What are we talking about? I have heard Narendra Modi's statement after several lynching deaths. Did it stop lynching? I mean, the truth of the matter is very simple. That end of day, Mr. Adityanath's government went to the Allahabad High Court and said we have no evidence against the MLA and we cannot arrest him until the High Court gets into the action. As far as Katwa is concerned, I am speechless and think so is the country. And today, if the political parties other than the BJP don't take to the streets, this government will not respond. I am willing to make a statement. Had Mr. Gandhi and the Congress party not stepped on the roads of Delhi yesterday in the midnight march, I think Mr. Modi did not wake up to the reality that India is at the moment angry. Okay. India is astonished at the silence of the Prime Minister. Okay. India is stunned by the BJP's performance at the center and a total neglect of women. That's the truth. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Sanjay Jha, you've made your point and you made a rather passionate point to all of this, but I'm going to take it across to Ghanshyam Tiwari. Zafar Islam, I'll come to you in just a bit, but I'll take it across to Ghanshyam Tiwari and just to ask the broader question, Mr. Tiwari, has the government action, the fact that the Prime Minister has spoken, and about 2 hours back we were discussing why is the Prime Minister not breaking his silence. He hasn't just tweeted, he's given a hard-hitting statement and he's made a statement saying the government is committed to bringing the guilty to book and all of that. Has the government action in terms of the Prime Minister speaking and then 2 ministers being made to quit in J&K put an end to the political opportunism that opposition parties were being charged with?
It is important to take this question head on about political opportunism, and even media was called opportunistic in the way it highlighted these stories. These 2 stories really shake you from inside. You feel a little less Indian when you look at the facts of these stories. The case in Unnao did not come into the media light until the girl tried to self-immolate herself in front of Chief Minister's residence, and media showed conviction, the opposition showed conviction when the girl's father was brutally murdered at a thana. So to blame the media that you are covering only one rape, this is not just rape. This is a rape, and then this is a murder of the entire system that we have evolved over 70 years of independence. Similarly, Kathua, from January 10 to March, the case was not in the limelight. It is only after the charge sheet was filed and the kind of politics that emerged, competitive politics of Hindu versus Muslim, rather than finding the justice for the victim. A dead soul is not Hindu or Muslim. She was a daughter of India, and you cannot play competitive politics on top of it. And Kathua is the constituency of Prime Minister's, Minister of State for Prime Minister office and Minister of State for Home, Jitendra Singh. So was the Prime Minister clueless about both Unnao and Kathua? He knew about Unnao because the girl and her family had written a letter. Meenakshi Lekhi said that Prime Minister's office had responded to that letter in August. So do not blame the media. Do not blame the opportunism. The two cases are important for the nation because it shows, one, political bankruptcy. It's two, it shows that we as a country are very, very weak when it comes to institution. Like pawns, our institutions will go and serve the criminals. Our politics can go and serve the criminals.
Okay,
and it is important that the Prime Minister spoke, even if it is, this is my final point. It is important that the Prime Minister spoke, but his speech only gives a compass, a direction to BJP. It does not give a direction to nation as a whole, which is still at loss in these two incidents.
Okay, the nation's still at a loss. Zafar Islam, only fair I let you come in and counter, points made there by both Sanjay Jha and Ghanshyam Tiwari. But a quick question, is this action enough? Especially now that it's amply clear that BJP patronized the rape apologists in Kathua. It may have asked two ministers to go, but, will it crack down on the Hindu Munch and its activities in Jammu? That's the kind of action we'd like to see. So is this action enough? And your counter to the points made there by Ghanshyam Tiwari and Sanjay Jha.
I would ask Ghanshyam Tiwari, what was he feeling, less Indian or more Indian, when Gayatri Prajapati, the minister who was the rapist, was part of his the SP cabinet, Akhilesh Yadav's cabinet? How was he feeling at that time? I mean, the nation, the people of India would want to know from you that, or what you were feeling at that time, less Indian or more Indian? Because he was a rapist and he was yet a minister in your cabinet. So do not give lecture.
Do not,
Here,
do not use that as a mask to
all the political parties. The political parties, they want to take it as an opportunity.
Or
they see it,
anyone on that.
No, they see. Let me just respond. I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you.
Come to you after this.
No,
Ghanshyam, let me make his point.
I didn't interrupt you.
Ghanshyam, let him make his point. Let him make his point. We'll come to you for a rebuttal. Yes, Ghanshyam.
So the political party, these political parties, they do not have any other issues to raise. They have complete bankruptcy. That's why they see this as an opportunity and pursue it passionately. This was very evident from the fact that Rahul Gandhi was selectively pursuing. He had never made a statement against that crime against women or rape as a crime and something which we as a collectively we should fight. And they were in the government for 60, 70 years.
Completely wrong.
They could have had a law, this kind of law. They could have had a legislation to protect it. They could have done many things to ensure that this kind of heinous crime should not happen. But away from this, this is our government is very sincere, and with sincerity will deal with this kind of crime and sternly with those who are responsible for it. All I want to say that it is a crime, and this, as I said in the beginning, that it should be treated like a crime, and it should be dealt sternly, and should not be politicized. It should not be linked with any religion. It should not be. It should not be used as an opportunity. As an opportunity, because this is something to do with the society and something to do with the and I personally feel that's a collective responsibility.
I myself denounce all sorts of political opportunism on a crime like this. 1 second, Sanjay. Syed Zafar Islam, you made your point. While I myself denounce all sorts of political opportunism on any crime of this kind, but remember, there comes a time in a nation's life when people turn around and say enough is enough. That happened to Nirbhaya in 2012, and it's happening to little girl Asifa in 2018. We must not lose sight of that. But Sanjay Jha, go ahead and make your point there.
That's right. Yeah, Supriya, I want to make a very simple point here. That, this, I don't think any political party is trying to politicize the issue. Not at all. I think today everyone is frankly speaking, gobsmacked. They are shocked by what they have read, the extent of hatred, the organized can you imagine an organized conspiracy to rape an 8-year-old innocent, susceptible child? I mean, what can be more horrific? So I don't think, I think it's a little shameful. I mean, we are political opponents, but I will request my BJP spokesperson to not say don't politicize it. This is not a political issue to begin with. Yes, this is a fight to protect the rights of every citizen of this country, and that is why political parties exist. My second point is very simple, Supriya, that end of day, I think it's about time. It's about time the public of India, irrespective of which political party is at the center, whether it's a Congress or the BJP or any party in the state. I think the public of India is now getting a resounding message that if at the end of the day the law enforcement agencies themselves or the governments they choose are hand in glove with the perpetrators, and where do they go to? And this is the point that I think the people of India now need to probably wake up to, that ultimately it's citizen power. And you can't be exploited every 5 years with a party coming to you for a vote. I think you need to make a statement. You need to demand action. You need to get that action. Because end of day, I'm just thinking that, a lot of people told me that if that was my child, I would be devastated for the rest of my life. And it's understandable. And today, the fear that people have is if they have any such incident, God forbid, happening to anybody they know, where do they go to?
Sanjay, okay, I take that point, Sanjay. I take that point, and I think everyone here shares the outrage. But you're saying that this is not political opportunism. Jaggi, come in on that. Is this? Would you agree with the Congress party when it says that there is no political opportunism here? When Rahul Gandhi goes on a midnight march, he's not out to score political points. He's sharing the nation's outrage. The fact of the matter is that he took a while to condemn what happened in Kathua. The fact of the matter is that several of the protesters in Kathua were leaders of the Congress party, including a polling agent of top party leader Ghulam Nabi Azad, whom of course now he's distant. So, is this not political opportunism, Jaggi?
See, there is political opportunism. I wouldn't blame the opposition parties for bringing the issue out, because this is certainly an issue that goes beyond political parties. And in Jammu specifically, there are two issues that have got conflated. There is Jammu has a long-standing feeling that it's being discriminated against by Kashmir, and if you see all the people who are protesting against it, they were worrying more about the Kashmiri hand in this rather than this thing. So there are both Congress and BJP, both of them were actually trying to meddle with this case. So it is not just that only the BJP was doing, though obviously BJP has with two ministers leading the protests and all, obviously they have no place to hide. That's a different point. But I think if you do not want to politicize it, I would say you can check it out by three actions that all political parties take. First, can you move your police away from political control in all states? Okay, Congress may not be in power in so many states, so BJP has the lead in many places. But in the places where the Congress is in power, will you be the first party to say the political, you will have a separate police service commission which is insulated from political pressure? Second thing, will you introduce school-based and family-based curriculum to gender sensitize and make sure that over the next generation at least, we do not produce the kind of men and boys who take the rights of women so casually and especially go after children like we saw in Asifa cases. The third thing is, the long-term thing, it is not about hanging the rapist. Okay, everyone when confronted with this, even with Maneka Gandhi said, we are going to hang them. Mehbooba Mufti says same, we are going to hang them. Okay, you had Nirbhaya in 2012, we are in 2018, 6 years from now. In the middle, one guy gets killed in a prison riot, and the remaining guys who are accused are still in prison, and we have not had a final verdict. So, is it more important to speed up the process of justice, or to say that I am going to increase the penalties without knowing when it's going to happen?
Yes, absolutely. That's a point you made head on, and I think that's a fantastic point that I want to touch upon a little later in the show, because this is an important point. In a case like this, Justice delayed is justice denied. You know, we can keep talking about laws, we can keep talking about juveniles getting into this, but justice delayed will be justice denied, and we will address that in just a bit. But Madhu Narayanan, I have a more, I have a contra question to this entire debate to ask you. You know, we were talking about between Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister Modi, and why is the Prime Minister silent, his inaction, why is Amit Shah not doing anything? The reality is that the responsibility of running law and order, of ensuring safety, of ensuring security in a state like Uttar Pradesh is with Yogi Adityanath. In Jammu and Kashmir, it is with Mehbooba Mufti. I mean, they are the people who should be answering the tough questions. They've been chosen representatives to lead those states. Why is, I mean, are we being soft on them by targeting these national leaders? What is Yogi Adityanath doing if he can't ensure that his MLA resigns in time? What is Mehbooba Mufti worth her salt for if she cannot make 2 ministers in her cabinet resign? She's the senior partner in J&K. She isn't the junior partner, really.
Absolutely. I think there are 3 points to be said here, Supriya. First of all, you are absolutely right. These two leaders, Yogi Adityanath and Mehbooba Mufti, had a lot to answer for. Second, more important is not just about the jurisdiction issue of state. It's also the fact that ruling party MLA has been involved in, or alleged to be involved in UP, and people considered close to the cadres of the ruling party are staging controversial demonstrations in support of some kind of a rapist in or widely perceived to be. So, whether it's an administrative problem or a perception problem, these two leaders had to step in early and also resolve this issue from a point of view of conflict of interest, that when somebody who's part of your cadre or your party is involved, then you have to be extra careful and act on principle rather than allegiance. There is a third angle of the narrative of bigotry that is running into this whole thing, and where it's very disturbing for a country which believes in the rule of law and equality to be confronted with situations where you are trying to see something of a mob justice or injustice coming to the picture. All three issues are no longer a simple law and order issue. It is a political issue from the constitutional point of view. From the rule of law point of view, these issues needed to be addressed, and any proactive government, especially the one that comes into power with a Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas kind of a slogan, needed to be done. So, this is a case of classic case of governance deficit as I see it.
So governance deficit.
And I'm not surprised Congress is trying to capitalize on it, just the way BJP capitalized on the 2G scam.
Oh yes, absolutely. You know, Zafar Islam, since Madhav Narayanan spoke about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, I think a lot of people are wondering, are these just slogans? I mean, is there any intent when the government says Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, when the government says Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao? And I'll tell you why. Because, you spoke about action being taken, the Prime Minister's comments. You're right, it's the Prime Minister's prerogative when to break his silence. The problem is the reluctance of the government to crack down on hate mongers. I'd like to know, when is the BJP going to sack Mr. Surendra Singh, a BJP MLA in UP, who says 2019 election will be a competition between Islam and Bhagwan? Is that the thinking of the BJP? The Madhya Pradesh BJP chief, he's not a fringe. He is the chief of the BJP party in Madhya Pradesh, who says there's a Pakistani hand in the Kathua rape case. Is that the thinking of the party? How long can we tolerate these bigots?
Sandeep, I agree with you that there are some elements within the party who speak, who actually have no voice. I mean, they are not the authorized spokesperson, but only to
BJP chief, it's a government, it's a state where you are in power, and the BJP chief in the state of Madhya Pradesh, sir, this is not some right-wing fringe. Some of them are ministers in the cabinet in New Delhi. They are not, this is a mistake that people make, that this is some fringe element, these are some, right-wing fringe. They are not, they are as core to the party as anyone else is.
Let me just complete.
Sure.
But you have to pay attention to what the leadership speaks. And when we say Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, you do not actually pay attention to what the government has delivered, what the leadership of the ruling party has spoken, and what stand we have taken. Let me give you some example. When you say that it's not only a slogan, what is the reality also you must know. That when it's one example, Ujjwala scheme, 8 crore women have been given a gas connection, free gas connection. And did we see check the name before giving this, allotting those gas connection to women? Did we check their name? No. We just gave as per the serial numbers. And the beneficiaries are from Muslim community. In fact, the 22% Muslim community, women from Muslim community are the beneficiaries. Likewise, large number of from Dalit community, because it is meant for the poor. And Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is demonstrated when you actually do not look at the name and address, but you also only go by the number. And that is what we have demonstrated. Likewise, in all the government scheme, whether it's Mudra and many other government scheme which has been announced, we did not see any particular religion. We see who is deserving, and the deserving should get. And that's why we call it Sabka, and we have demonstrated it. It is incident like this. This is very unfortunate. And as I said, it is a heinous crime. This should be, it is not only the ruling party, everyone should be on the same platform, that whoever is responsible should be punished, and that should be a lesson for the society as a whole, that those who are responsible for such crime should be punished. And that is the reason why I am trying to tell you that they are criticizing the government. If somebody has committed a crime, whoever is the person, whether it's somebody from the ruling party, whether it's from the ordinary citizen, whether it's somebody from the opposition party, whoever is, a crime, somebody who has committed a crime must be punished. That should be the approach. But unfortunately, the opposition parties, and more importantly, the principal opposition parties, Congress party, is not playing that role, and they are just trying to politicize it. And Mr. Sanjay Jha, he very clearly knows that they are trying to mislead the people of this country.
I get your point. What I'm a little astounded is, one second, let me
can I come in, Supriya? I need to contradict his lies.
Okay, sure. Go ahead very quickly, because I want to go to Ghanshyam Tiwari next. Go ahead, Sanjay Jha.
Yeah. Supriya, let me tell you in brief. I mean, I'm absolutely astonished and almost disgusted that every second minute Zafar Islam is coming back and trying to say that this is politics. I think this is insulting the victim. This is insulting the families of the victims. This is insulting the people of India. And let me make a second point. Go by hard data, my friend. The NCRB data, which is an official data, tells you that in Adityanath's government in Uttar Pradesh, the number of rapes in the last year is 4,800. It is at the peak along with other BJP ruled states like Madhya Pradesh. How can you afford to even come on a TV channel and make such irresponsible and preposterous claims? And let me tell you a second point, Supriya and Sandeep. Today you have a statement by a member of the Jammu and Kashmir government who's related to the Chief Minister, who says that the PDP and BJP have committed a crime by the way they have behaved over the last several years. And after the rape incident that has happened, he says we don't know where to hide. This is coming from someone who's a minister in the government. How can you come here and blame any other political party? For God's sake.
Okay, I understand. Sanjay Jha, and I think a similar statement has also come in from Mehbooba Mufti's brother, who has said that this alliance can't go on the way it's going on. I think that those statements are there, but I will quickly take a word with Ghanshyam Tiwari. And Ghanshyam Tiwari's a larger point that Sandeep had raised with Zafar Islam was about political patronage. Can any of this perpetrate without political patronage? You look at Katwa and you look at Unnao. The political complicity in this, and in Jammu and Kashmir, even though I agree with large parts of what Sanjay Jha just said, I think the Congress is equally to be blamed. You can't suddenly distance yourself from people who were a part of the protest and today say that it's only BJP. But in UP, I mean, the political complicity in this is what is shocking. And this political complicity is not seen in Indian politics for the first time. Even when you were in power in UP under Akhilesh Yadav, this political complicity existed, incident after incident. Will politicians deny that this cannot carry on without political patronage? This cannot carry on without that complicity?
Well, they will not. Well, they will not. And give a man discretion and he will have all of it. That is what makes absolute, that is why we say absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this is the reason why we as a nation have to depend more on institutions that we make, more on interventions that we make in policy that stand the test of time. One can criticize Akhilesh Yadav's government on patronage that existed, did not exist, but one cannot criticize that the institutions that we created, Dial 100, which is now getting imitated across the country by other chief ministers, makes this agency of policing away from human intervention at the first touch point, and those interventions are important. Throughout this debate, BJP has not spoken about, or this government, be it in Uttar Pradesh or at the center, has not spoken about which institutions stood up for women in this particular case. You look at National Commission for Women. The chairman for National Commission for Women says that on Unnao case that this matter does not relate to us because the girl is a minor. You look at National Commission for Child Protection, their chairman says that the incident does not matter to us because the girl is no more a minor. So when you have top institutions playing this football ping pong between one another, nobody is taking responsibility. Who is accountable? At the end of the day, the politics will come and go opportunistically or as the mood of the nation swings. But it is the institutions that last the test of the time. Had the SC/ST Act, for example, been discussed in the parliament, the India Bharat Bandh would not have happened. When we take away debates from the parliament, we take away power of election commission, we take away power of judiciary, we are weakening the citizen. This is what we want to communicate. The political parties are driven by a certain ideology. But the political parties in the past have not built the best institutions. We have used technology to bring in good changes. Right. And can BJP say today that any one or two interventions that they have done in the past 4 years, technology or otherwise, that have a lasting impact on Indian system? The answer is no.
Well, that's your view of things. That's a separate debate in itself on how institutions have been eroded, if at all. But I'll tell you what, we'll take a short break here on that note, 3-minute break. When we come back, we're going to put the spotlight on solutions. You know, we're done with the blame game. Let's look at solutions. What do we need? Do we need a stronger law? Is that enough of a deterrent? What more needs to be done? And more importantly, is the BJP losing the perception battle? Is this hitting Modi's invincibility? That's what we're going to talk about on the other side of this very short break. Do stay with us. Back in a moment.
It's great to be back with you once again on the India development debate right here on ET Now, and I do want to go across and talk to our viewers and talk to our experts specifically on the solutions that lie ahead. And Jaggi, let me just begin this round with you. You know, there has always been this clarion call when an issue like this comes to light that there should be death for rapists. But do you really believe that the time has finally come to move beyond the narrative, to move beyond the jargon and talk and demand stringent laws? Maneka Gandhi says the government will amend the law to have a death penalty for child rape. Is that going to be enough? And A, do you believe this is the starting point? We must at least get that going.
I think death for child rapists is an emotional reaction to something that's ghastly. But I think it is not the solution. Even if you assume you have a death penalty, it is something that you need to streamline the law processes, you need to streamline your investigations, and this is where you need to make the investments in time and energy and effort in order to see that justice is done quickly. If you do not do that, and most important, I have seen none of the politicians on your panel have said the most important thing I raised just about some time ago, that you are not willing to let your police forces act according to the law. So obviously they are going to sit on everything based on what they think is the local power equation. So unless you insulate the police from the political pressure, you are not going to get them to act even to implement what law is there on the books. So we are talking about punishments when the basics of the law where you are going to get them to be punished are not going to be acted upon. So let them commit, let the three guys on the show today say that their governments will free the police. Then we can say that, okay, there is no politics, there is something serious going on, this time we have changed.
Syed Zafar Islam, can that happen? I mean, you know, in Unnao, just day before yesterday, we all saw those midnight drama images of this MLA walking to the police station, having a cup of tea, and then, you know, that's the image that we have in mind. Can we realistically free our police forces from political intervention? You know, how long will these Bahubali Netas run the police force, have this disproportionate say on what cases should be pursued in what manner by the police force? When will things change?
I think this should be followed very strictly. Police force should work independently, all the agencies should work independently, like they are working today without any intervention. We have heard the Supreme Court's observation about the CBI how it was being treated, how they were used as a cage parrot earlier during UPA. But away from that, today, as I said, I don't want to do any tutu meme with any political parties because we are discussing a very, very sensitive issue. Yes, I agree with one of the panelists, he has an observation. Police should be given free hand without any political intervention, and they should pursue case based on merit, and it should be based on the evidence and without any influence, and that is something will make a decisive and the difference which all of us are looking for. And I'm sure that the Honorable Prime Minister has always spoken about it to bring transparency, and this government is following the best possible example of transparency, because everything we do, it is very transparent to people of this country. But yet, if there is any shortfall, if there is something which needs to be done and which has not been is not being done currently, that should be implemented and strictly that should be followed. But what is more important, as I said, and I think that this issue, that this should be this message that this is a crime, and this should be somehow populate among people of this country, that not only whether you have a capital punishment, not capital punishment, something the society should take a call that people who commit this kind of crime should be barred. Some sort of that there should be the society should put some restriction.
Oh.
So, like,
right.
No, I'm saying that this is
absolutely. There need to be societal changes, and I think 1 second, Sanjay, I'm coming to you. There need to be societal changes. There is no denying that. A society that breeds these men who can do things like these needs to be extremely shameful. It's rightly said, we find ourselves in a black hole as a society to let our men do this to our women. It is absolute violation of women's rights. I completely agree with you on that, but I think the onus lies on the political class to make laws that deter men from doing so, to make laws that deter parents that their children should not go out there and do heinous crimes like these. But very quickly, Sanjay Jha, this police being divorced from politics is as much Congress's issue as it is BJP's. This is not the first instance that we are seeing where the police is being subservient to an elected representative and saying we don't have we don't have proof and so we can't elect. It has happened multiple times in Indian politics, and sometimes it's been the Congress that has been on the punishing side of this. So it is as much the Congress as well as the BJP issue. It is a political issue at large. Will you be willing, will the Congress party be willing to even start the discourse on something like this?
You know, Supriya, I believe the reason why police reforms haven't happened, whether it's a BJP or the Congress at the center or various political parties in the states, is because there is political arrogance and authoritarianism, which basically becomes a monstrous form when a political party wins power. Nobody likes to let it go. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I heard the BJP spokesperson's motherhood and apple pie statements on what should happen. Let him first make sure that the CBI is independent. And then you see how many people will go to jail, including some very top-notch political leaders. They're not going to do it. They are not doing it. I think the bigger point that you asked me on societal changes, I believe, if you look at, Supriya, the Harvey Weinstein case in America, it tells you that, end of day, you cannot obliterate, and this is a tragic reality, the kind of misogynistic or the anti-women attitudes that some men have. Therefore, laws will help if you can make people get the fear of God. As somebody rightly mentioned, despite the ghastly Nirbhaya, kind of rape incident that happened, where a young innocent girl was brutally killed, the people are not yet been hung, and they should be hung, but it hasn't happened. So enforcing just a hard law, just creating a hard law is not enough. You got to enforce it. People need to see that justice happen. And the second point, I mentioned the Harvey Weinstein case. I can tell you today, even today, there are enough people with that vulgar mindset who are abusing women. The sexual harassment in corporate offices, in gyms and parlors is happening all over the country. And end of day, I think, it's very, very important that the men of this country, I think young boys, when they are starting off in school, they're made to respect their fellow colleague who is a young girl as an equal, as someone I need to respect. So I think we need to start really from bottom up. Sanjay, but yes, there is a massive failure at the top. And I think political leadership's abject performance is evident in both the case of Kathua and Unnao. And that is a reality that we should not run away from.
No, I think what we lose sight of is that very often the political class is seen as ideals, and those ideals have dissipated. Those ideals have gone. We don't have icons in the political class anymore. You have
That's
icons
right.
like Kuldeep Singh
That's
Sengar,
right.
and so I wonder what men in Unnao will be
I agree.
making of this. You've also got plenty of examples on the Congress's camp as well.
That's
So I'm
right.
not trying to politicize this issue. But Ghanshyam Tiwari, I must ask you this question. You know, we're debating the societal change. We are saying how young boys need to be conditioned to respect women. No doubt about that. That needs to happen at the societal, at the familial level. But what about the changes that have been warranted for long in our legal system? If a man is old enough to bring this misery upon a woman, upon a girl, upon a child, he is old enough to pay for his crime, even if he's a juvenile. And the other part, and will the Samajwadi Party and you representing the party be supporting changes in that sort of law? And the other part, of course, is justice delayed, justice denied. I mean, you know, these men can be behind bars and the court case will go on for 20 years. What sort of justice will that be?
Well, Samajwadi Party stands for every measure. I say every measure that strengthens India, because at the foundation of a developed India will be a girl child who's independent, who's secure, and who's capable. And when you look at measures that have to be taken, they have to be proactive. When I say proactive, you run psychometric programs and other programs at school, establish that who is that population who suddenly feels that just by being a male at whatever age, at juvenile, elderly, or middle-aged, or teenage, that just being a man gives me a power, or a boy gives me a power over a woman to outrage her modesty, and it is cool. For technology-driven measure is required pan-India, irrespective of whether you are at school or not. Second is power to women. We have to make women successful at every stage. We have around 4 crore girls who are at the age of 14 to 18 who are not at high school, will never pass at high school. I know this because I'm running an initiative for them. But we have to get our girls to pass high school. We can't be a country where 1/3 of our women are teenage mothers. They don't have enough identity to make society respect, or to drive society to respect their identity, and that identity has to be created together. Third, policy and politics. Politics has to give more space to women. I say my party is an equal failure. We have to find ways, and I call upon women to protest, to figure out a way that collectively we have more women in politics, more political voice to them. And finally, policy and law, all parties should come together. It is these 4 things coming together that will shape a society and force India into a direction where women are secure, independent, and capable.
Okay, I'm glad we're talking solutions on the India development debate tonight, but closing comments from the two experts on the show. Madhavan, I'm coming to you first, and I want to take it back to where we started. You know, this government is excellent at perception management, you know, at getting the optics right, but it didn't take too long for them to distance the Prime Minister's office from a controversial circular put out by the INB Ministry, gagging press freedom. Why do you think they have been unresponsive? I mean, why did they get this so wrong?
I think it's very simple. These are the dynamics of power. It's great to make promises of good governance and achhe din, but when you actually come to power, you deal with the system. And dealing with the system includes dealing with party sympathizers and cadres. So you need to have a plan in place that will think long term. I am afraid this government hasn't thought long term, and some of the honeymoon effect, or the first, because Mr. Modi started with a clean slate, he was given the benefit of the doubt. That has been sort of eroded, and I must say this, the governance deficit includes a bit of a talent deficit, and some of it has also got to do with the fact that this government came to power on the strength of the rise of social media, and now it is caught at the wrong end of the same phenomenon. And some of those issues are very 21st century. You're looking at hyper democracy with a real-time governance, and you need to respond fast. And the fundamental question of law and order with conflict of interest issues is not been addressed at all. We need, we were talking about the Lokpal in the run-up to Mr. Modi's rise to power. That is a forgotten idea. We need somebody or some institution, which right now being done by proxy by the courts, has to be done, a post box has to exist. And what kind of a digital India is this if an FIR for a rape cannot be registered properly for months?
Okay, fair enough. Jaggi, I'm going to let you have the last.
Faster governance with accountability.
Right. Faster governance with accountability is the need of the hour, says Madhav Narayanan. Jaggi, I'm going to let you have the last word. Only 45 seconds left on the show. You know, we have to step back and look at the larger context of all that's happening around us. We've had the the Nirav Modi scam. We've had now these horrendous rape instances. You have the Prime Minister being shown black flags in Chennai. Almost seems like as if all of South India is up against the Modi government. Is this all indicating that this government is not as invincible as it is being made out to be? Is it indicating that at least on the perception game, it's losing a few key battles in the run-up to 2019? Jaggi?
Yes, absolutely. I think the reality is that you cannot run or reform the whole of India from Delhi, however strong your PMO may be or however strong your immediate set of supporters may be. You have to devolve power to the thing. Your Prime Minister should lead by example, should set an example, but the power needs to move down, and we need to stop looking at Delhi for all our answers. These decisions about sensitizing schools or boys or whatever it is can't be really determined from Delhi. Every state will have a different setup. I mean, the situation in Mizoram and is not the same as the situation in Kerala or in Delhi or in UP or Unnao. So I think the first message we need to understand is that governance needs to move down. The PM must set the example, can draw the big picture, but he has to empower people much lower down, and the states and the districts and the cities need to get into the act. Only then will change start from the bottom. Change can only be exemplified from the top. It has to start from the bottom.
Okay, change will have to start from the bottom, but we've completely run out of time here on this edition of the India Development Debate. But if this debate is left to politics, it can really go on forever. But what this issue really needs is intervention at various levels: the familial level, the societal level, legal, and definitely political. Because there are some issues that should and will soar over petty politics. Safety and justice for our girls is perhaps just one of them.
Absolutely. Timed out on this special edition of India Development Debate. Thank you very much to this wonderful panel for debating solutions on this edition of the India Development Debate. We're back in a moment with Top 10 at 10 with Tanya Bharadwaj. Keep it with ET Now.